Greetings, confession. The love of money is the root of all abuse. How many times do we see females looking nice, wearing expensive clothing, flaunting the best wigs, driving the nicest vehicles and spending big money and wish we were in their shoes? As women, at some point we must have experienced that feeling. Well, I am here to tell you that most times the glitz and glam comes at a high price. I am a female who is well endowed in the right places. I grew up in a Pentecostal Christian home in a rural town but migrated to Kingston for work purposes. I wore my natural hair, clothes below my knees, never wore makeup nor jewelry. I was happily engaged to my Prince Charming from my community who was also a Christian. I was a virgin and he planned on waiting on me until after marriage. Being in Kingston was a culture shock for me. The place was fast-paced opposed to my quiet community back home. I got a job as a sales and marketing manager which had me meeting different types of clients on a daily basis. I would be required to attend fancy functions and would invite my fiancée to accompany me. 9 out of 10 times we would look odd at these functions because of the way we dressed. The ladies would look all dolled up in their makeups, jewelries and fancy clothes while I looked like a plain no. I tried to fit in by getting my ears pierced and started wearing a little knob. My fiancé would constantly remind me that I looked great in my natural state. My confidence was getting up a little. I was at an expo one day where they were doing live makeup sessions. They requested to use me as my skin tone was ideal. I just went with the flow. Upon completion, I looked in the mirror and I could not believe that was me looking back. I looked like one of those very pretty black Instagram models. Patrons were complimenting my beauty and I felt very excited. I bought all the products that were used and got a lesson in application of them. I started wearing the products daily and the compliments got more. At a conference at the Montego Bay Convention Center, I met this business investor. He was very informative and charming. We exchanged business numbers and before he left, he told me how beautiful I was and that the man who placed the ring on me is one lucky man. At that point I remembered that I didn't invite my fiancée down for the weekend as I was staying over at a hotel. I called him to apologize, but he was very upset with me and said from I started wearing makeup and jewelry, it seemed I was turning into a different woman. I was so upset with him because he sounded like a jealous woman, so I just blocked him from my mind. Later in the night, I was by the pool in a swimsuit just relaxing when Mr. Investor came up to me. I was so shocked that we were both staying at the same hotel. We talked for some good time and it was like we were long-lost friends. That was the first time I tasted liquor. I found out that he was a billionaire and was looking for that woman to settle down with. There was a beach party at the hotel so he dragged me out on the sand and he wouldn't stop complimenting my figure. That was the first time I danced to dancehall music. He taught me how to move my hips to the beat, and in no time I caught on. I remember some soft music started playing, and he had me in his arms swaying. It felt so breathtakingly great. The next thing I knew, we were kissing and he walked me to the beach in the dark and laid me down on the sand. He kissed me again and took off my swim bottom, then he gave me oral sex right there. I never knew orgasm would have felt that great. I was experiencing a serious bliss. At that point I didn't even remember about being engaged nor Christianity because of the nice feeling. We went back to his room where he took my virginity. In the morning when I woke up, I realized that my engagement ring was gone. He smiled and told me that I no longer needed it because I am now his. It sounded good, but I felt bad because I would be breaking my fiancée's heart. I told him that I would have to think about all of this, and he said no problem. It was as if he knew I was going to choose him. He asked for my banking info and left. Minutes after I saw a deposit of $300,000 in my account, then a text from him saying I should go shopping. I went shopping and got some shorter and tighter clothes which complemented my figure well. I stayed away from my fiancé because how could I tell him I was no longer a virgin, and worse, I gave it to someone I just met. Mr. Investor was pleased with my new wardrobe and would be all over me. He then upgraded my little Honda car to a BMW van. He said his woman must travel in fine style. He booked an appointment to get my hair done, and that stylist worked wonders as I left with long flowing bundles. He was so pleased when he saw me. I felt like a completely new person. I had to call off my engagement as we were no longer at that place. I had my wealthy and charming investor. My parents and family wrote me off because I went against the family's principles. He was taking good care of me, and we moved in together in one of his luxurious homes in Jacks Hill. Life was going great, good career, great man and good home. I went to a business meeting with a male client, and when I went home, I was greeted with a slap across my face. I was beyond shocked that I could not even cry. He said I disrespected him by being alone with a male and that I should not do that again. I was thinking that he loved me so much that he was jealous. That night he told me to use makeup to cover the mark because we were going out. I started to realize that he had nimble hands, as he would hit me for the smallest of things. Then I would just have to cover the marks and pretend to be happy around people. The more he hit me, the more gifts I would get. All the money he gave me, I would stash away in a private account that he knew nothing of. One day I came home from work early because I was feeling ill. When I opened the door and was going upstairs, I heard low moanings. When I opened our bedroom door, I saw one girl sitting on his face while another was riding him. I just stood there with tears in my eyes. When the girl saw me, she asked if I was going to just stare or join. I ran over to her and slapped her, and to my surprise my man slapped me for slapping her. Right there I got upset and slapped him back for the first time ever. It seemed like he transformed into a beast because he told the girls to leave, and then he started punching me like a punching bag. I tried fighting back, but my little punches were nothing compared to his monster licks. When I saw my face, I could not believe. I looked like a character in a horror movie. I told him I was done and leaving, and he smiled and said I only get to leave him when he says so. I had to get sick leave from work for 2 weeks because of my bruises and a fractured finger. I had to lie that I slipped off the staircase. I refused to speak with him, and he bought me an apartment to make up. During my 2 weeks break from work, I sat and thought about my exit strategy from this mess of a relationship. My private account was well loaded. I had a little over $25 million plus my regular savings and investment accounts during the 5 years we were together. I transferred everything to my friend's account. I had to get away from him, but how? He was so popular and respected, so it would be hard to escape from him. My best friend lived abroad, so we came up with a plan that she would get someone for me to marry up there so I could relocate legally. When he left for work or wherever, I would discreetly pack my important items and hide them away in a gym bag. My friend booked a flight for me one morning to leave in the evening. I took a taxi to the gym in my gym wear, and as the taxi left I went into the car that my friend arranged to drop me to the airport. I could not breathe until the final flight landed in LAX airport. I ensured that I destroyed my phone before leaving. I left my job, everything, because I had to run from this man. He knew nothing about my best friend because I kept her private. As I got settled in her home, I got the business marriage done, and within 18 months I got my legal papers. I was able to use my new married name to attend university and get a good job. I am now living a simple, single and happy life in California. I rekindled the relationship with my parents, and they are now living with me. I would never trade living a simple life ever again for glitz and glam. Now when I see these ladies parading their lavish lifestyles, I smile and give thanks for escaping the abuse that comes with it. Anonymous. Write to us via WhatsApp 1-876-353-1389 and remember to subscribe and share, dear Mckoy.